You think you'd have them in your mouth or something by now,
Yeah,
right?
like,
You could
just a
just
little
talk,
strip here, but, like,
nothing going.
The road mic's like there,
Yeah. But good way to start, I think, mate. Bosh, we're back. Squeeze the neck back at Crown's Gym, as you can see, with my new mate, mental fitness trainer, Ted Lawlor.
Lawlor,
I done it right. I went back, was it? 3 things in a row I got it right.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing this, mate.
Smashed it, mate.
I practiced the name before, I got it perfect, and then as I do, I second guessed it as we're on here. So, but we made it. But before we get into anything, mate, we met recently at, it was the Johnny Fisher one, right?
Yeah.
We met Johnny Fisher workshop, they call it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was great, which was good. Sonny, the strength and conditioning coach.
Cannon,
Sonny Cannon was there. Shout out Sonny. Good day all round. We met as we did with Kyle, who I've done a podcast with here before. Guys are always very welcoming whenever I come down. But before we get into any of the stuff current, let's go back a step, mate. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm Ted Lawlor, mental fitness trainer. This is quite recently, I sort of stepped into this world after years and years and years of my own personal issues, ups, downs, highs, lows, just madness, crazy stuff. And it's really pushed me to make the jump into what I do now, which is helping people. So yeah, I work here at Crown's Gym doing the marketing, but aside from that, I also help people with their minds and bodies as well.
So where are you from originally, mate? Is this home?
No, I'm from Bermondsey originally,
Okay.
which is still South London, but a slightly different vibe to where we are now in Beckenham. Yeah, I grew up there, lived there for 20-something years.
How old are you now, mate? Because you said years
27.
and years. 27.
Yeah.
You're a bit old now,
Yeah.
so let's take it easy now. Let's slow down a bit.
So yeah, moved out of Bermondsey around 20, the age 20. That whole life was just a blur, really. Moved out, luckily. Just a whole load of craziness going on. It was getting crazier, and it was getting closer and closer to my home. And I thought, you know what, let's just get out, make the right decision, the safe decision. I moved out to Bromley, and yeah, very, very different life so far since I've moved out.
That's cool. But like originally, we spoke briefly off camera, so like we piece things together for anyone listening. Is like you're a boxing fan, you said. Have you ever boxed yourself? Was you a boxer?
No, so I used to train as a kid. I got into that through my dad and his mate, who was a pro boxer as well, and he sort of forced me to start trying it in different gyms. I went from anything from Fisher ABC to Peacock to Lynn, and I was one of those kids you'd see for 6 months, then you'd never see me again.
Right.
I didn't speak when I was in the gym. I just went in, did my own thing, and I was only doing it just to burn energy because I was so naughty and loud in school. I was like, I just need a channel to put all this energy through. So yeah, I was just gym hopping, but now after, I want to say 7 years maybe, of no training at all, I'm back at Crowns and I'm doing the white collar fight in March. So
This is your first ever fight?
yeah.
Oh yeah,
so
nice one.
I've never done anything. I've just always been a fan, but did it as a hobby just to burn energy.
Nice.
And now I thought, I keep talking about I love boxing. I can't be a real boxing fan without actually stepping in a ring myself.
That's it. Why did you never end up having a carded bout and all that?
So I was literally a week away from getting my card at Lynn. Did all like the medical checks and stuff, and again, I just had no vision, which is what stuff I know about now. I had no vision of what I wanted to do with it.
What age are you at this point when you're talking?
Early teens, so like secondary school, yeah, like early year 7s, year 8s.
Who was there at the time? Would this have been like Sam Mullins and stuff?
Yeah.
Shout out Sam, he's been
yeah,
on the podcast, been
yeah,
down there,
yeah.
Churches a few times for
Yeah.
podcasts and whatnot, so shout out, mate.
Yeah,
But
no,
yeah, I
shout
trained
out.
there a little bit actually at Lynn. So I never boxed, I boxed for Elsfield, but I was working in Farringdon. I think I might have told this on him before, but I was in Farringdon and like coming home on the trains, it was an easy stop. So I never boxed, I never anything like that, but I ended up doing sort of 6 weeks of sort of sparring and whatnot on the way home from work. If you like,
bloody hell,
back
that's a lot. Yeah, that's
yeah. So it was
discipline.
good. It was good. They were fun guys up there, you know, some characters up there, as there is in all boxing clubs, really.
Well,
But
you know what? We had Ellie Scottney down there.
Okay.
So Ellie Scottney actually weirdly inspired me. When I was training at Lynn, obviously I was just a little fat chubby kid, like with no vision.
right?
I literally turn up in like a polo top and like tracksuit bottoms. You know, like you're not, I didn't have any gym wear or the latest equipment. I was literally just turning up after eating some like rubbish dinner before. Like I weren't a gym person at all. And I see Ellie Scottney, she was always the only girl in there by herself in the girls' changing room, which, if you know, Lynn is in the back.
Yeah,
so like she was just always by herself. And something about that, I thought, you know what? I like that sort of air of confidence by yourself, because I'm a bit of a lone wolf. So when I see Ellie there, I thought,
I thought this story was going to go different. I thought you were going to tell me you followed her in the change room. I was like, whoa, yeah.
She just really she just thought, you know what, there's something about that, just being there by yourself and having that goal to do what you're doing, regardless what everyone else may think. That always stuck with me, even though I was a little chubby kid back then.
Yeah, but I mean, it's you know, you'll know pretty quick when you're boxing. I'm sure you sparred and stuff like that when you was younger. Like you know if it's for you pretty quick. And the amount of people like that we've all seen in boxing clubs that go through the boxing club but never end up boxing, is it? But now at the grand old age of 27, you're finally gonna step in there. Where is the bout, mate?
So it's going to be at the Troxy Centre.
Okay, is that still going? They're still doing fights in there. Yeah, okay.
So it's with White Collar Boxing London on I think the 26th of March. This one's.
Oh, so you got a long build up. You got a long time build up.
But I'm doing the camp now for the guys doing it on December.
Right.
Just to get that little edge.
Have you got an idea of weight, or are you not too fussed at this point?
Well, I don't know. Right. Again, I've never done anything like this on a proper scale where I've had to look. So I'm currently 67 kg. I could probably go all the way down to like close to 60 to be honest, and like be stripped completely. I don't think going up would do me much favours. I'd rather be like the strongest at the lower weight. So I'm sort of seeing how these 5 weeks transforms my body and then see where I'm at after.
And what's the plan? Is this one and done, or is this like, fuck, I'm a boxer now?
I want to see how it feels first.
Nice.
Like I said, I felt like I was contradicting myself by saying I love boxing.
Yeah.
And then if someone says, oh, how many fights you had? And I'm like, oh, no. Oh, how many spars you had? Oh, I've had like 10. Like, it just didn't seem right. So I wanted to immerse myself. I'll see how the march goes, but I've already done the ring walk in practice at the last show and got a feel for it.
Nice.
And I was like, yeah, this feels good.
You want to do it? I mean, listen, if you want to do it, you got to do it, yeah. Because like, fair play though for not lying, because I know people, they know who they are.
They're like,
where you go like, you know, you ask them about things and they say, oh yeah, you know, I had a few fights, and you go, oh, how many? And you know they're already like kind of backing up a bit, but then as soon as you ask them specific questions, it all falls apart. And then, one of them, again, I won't mention him because this, you know, I'm not criticising you, mate, but hey, he said he'd had 2 fights and he'd knocked 2 out, and oh, that's cool, you know, whatever. We did a bit of sparring, you know, you look at me and you go, lying, you, you know what I mean? You're lying about this, yeah, you know. But anyway, the side note. But yeah, I'll try and get to the fight, mate. If there's tickets available, we'll get that. It'd be good. Troxy's a good night out for anyone who hasn't been there. I've been there for MMA and all sorts. It's a crazy place over there. But anyway, moving on to like what you do now. You're a mental fitness trainer. You said like for the uneducated, if you like. What does that do? So
basically a metaphor I've been using. It's like mental health work. So it's a bit of therapy, a bit of healing. But I use the term mental fitness because it's a nice metaphor that people understand, and it makes the work that I've been doing more accessible to especially young lads, which is what I want to try and be more relevant to. So mental fitness is just a process of training your brain just like you do your body. So there's like mindset cardio, mindset conditioning, and mindset drills that are very easy to understand when you look at them and use it in reference to how you train your body. So you go, right, I'll do the 2 cardio sessions today, working on my mind, which is like breath work. Then I do the mindset conditioning tonight, which is more like the hypno meditations. And then there's drills you can put into place throughout your week or before competitions or before a big meeting, whatever line of work you're in. So yeah, it's really using that metaphor of training your body, but just applying it to the mind.
And is this for the everyday man, or is this specific to fighters you're working with?
No, just so it's applicable to anyone and everyone. But I'm trying to just leverage more the young lads because it's more likely that young lads will have an interest in some sort of gym-related thing, whether it's combat or even football. It's very easy to sort of apply that to different ways of life. But I've also worked alongside entrepreneurs that I know use visualization and stuff like that as well. So
does this interlink with like hypnotherapy? Is it the same sort of lane?
Yeah, very similar. Yeah.
Right, I've had someone here that do this. I don't know if you've heard of a fella called Vinny Shawman by any chance. No. So Vinny Shawman's worked with like world kickboxing champions. Yeah. I think he's worked with a lot, but one particular, Liam Harrison, is world kickboxing champion, Muay Thai champion, and which is how I became aware of him. They was on Joe Rogan. And I ended up reaching out to Vinny and invited me to his house, and we did a podcast. And great guy. So Vinny, if this finds you, mate, I hope you're well. And he was like, when I was listening to him, it was like, I don't want to say simple because it's the wrong way of putting it, but some of the things he was saying, without going into it, watch the episode, speak to Vinny, he'd do a better job than me. But it's like, you'd ask him things of like situations he'd been in, whatever. The answer he gave was very kind of like, just don't do it then, or do that instead then. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm oversimplifying it, but it was like very kind of letting them find their own answers, if you like. Is that kind of the way you work?
Yeah, it is. I've had a few sort of bouts of conflict with certain people that have come to my events or I've worked with that they want to overcomplicate it.
Right.
And I think subconsciously they want to overcomplicate it in order to have an excuse not to do it. So that they're saying to me, oh yeah, but actually this type of breath work should actually be called this. And you don't use it in this context, you use it in this context. I'm like, okay, but regardless of the theory, I know that if you do this one thing I'm saying, it will have an impact.
Right.
So please, can you just do it this way?
Right.
and just see for yourself, rather than sort of going, oh no, actually, that's actually called this and not that. So therefore, I'm going to step back. You're sabotaging yourself by doing that. So I just try and make it easy as possible. I don't overcomplicate it. Like, all my methods are available online for free. There's no barriers to sort of access what I'm teaching and doing. I just want people just to look at it, understand it, and practice it.
Right.
That's me done. Then afterwards, you've got any sort of, you want more support, come to me, I'll explain it in more detail. But don't sabotage yourself by saying, oh no, I don't want to go near that because it's actually called this or should be called that. It's irrelevant, really. Call it whatever you want, just do it.
Just do what I tell you. Yeah, right. Is this one of the things for you yourself? Is it hard for you to do it on you, if that makes sense? Because the example I mean is like I've trained people for years, right? But like for training yourself, sometimes you kind of overthink it and second guess yourself. And like, whereas if someone gives you, like, I'm making it oversimple, but if someone gives you a piece of paper with do X, Y, Z on it that they've given you, you follow it. But when you've wrote an X, Y, Z, you look at it and go, written X, Y, Z on it yourself, and you look through it and you go, well, maybe I could improve that on the fly. Do you see what I mean? And it kind of goes back to a little bit what you're saying. You kind of talk yourself out of it a bit.
I think that's all it goes back to, is just we can find, and we do often try to look for excuses to push it back a little bit and go, oh, actually, I don't feel like doing the breath work sometimes, like especially at night when you'd rather just do a meditation. But I know the impact the breath work can have when you do it. And it only takes a few minutes, like 10, 20 minutes before bed, like if you can create that time. So I think a lot of people will self-sabotage and go, oh, I can't do it on myself, when you can. Like all the methods I've got, there are variations, just like the gym, where you can do it with or without the partner or the body or the therapist, whatever you want to call it. You can do everything I'm teaching by yourself and for yourself.
And what's the breath work look like? Are we talking sort of a Wim Hof style type thing?
Yeah. So there's many different types of breath work, but for me, the Wim Hof, I call it like the cyclical breath work, just breathing in, letting it come out, just very cyclical. That was the type that I was most attracted to. Nice. Same sort of like with a PT, like every PT will have their own style or variation that they stick to. Same with boxing, same with Jiu Jitsu, wherever it is, they'll have their own sort of quirks and styles. For me, the Wim Hof was the first one I did, and the one that evidently I sort of stuck to, because it made me feel the best I've felt. So I don't like to overcomplicate it and try and teach a bit of everything. Right. I just teach what's worked for me. And when I say teach, I'm simply just sharing my experiences. If it fits, it fits.
Because that's interesting, and you do it at night, you said, because I do Wim Hof a lot. I do it pretty, not daily, but close enough. And I go a little bit off a feeling. I used to religiously do it daily, but now I kind of go a little bit more feeling based, and I end up doing it pretty much daily. Do you know what I mean? But I do it in the mornings. Is there any particular reason you do it in the evening?
For me, again, it's all based on personal experience and in the hope that it will apply to someone else in a similar position. For me, I do it at night because that sort of DMT style feeling where you're like, whoa, that's how I fall asleep quickest and best, but also I wake up with the best thoughts and I just wake up a lot more clearer. Gotcha. And it feels like I do the breath work, 3 rounds of the Wim Hof breath work, and then ease into a meditation as well. Right. So as I'm like in that state, I put on my earphones and then sort of drift off with the meditation. And I wake up like, oh, I do this, I do that. I have the answers from the day before. Right. So that's my sort of routine to send me into the subconscious. Really.
Well, the reason I ask about the evening, because automatically when we're going back to people making excuses for themselves, the obvious one that comes to mind with that, people who go, oh, well, I'm married, my missus won't have that. Or, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's an obvious one to do, whereas morning for me, not that that's, but morning I just prefer doing. But I get up in the morning and afterwards, I mean, sometimes I'm sure I'm talking to myself after and fucking mumbling like, but I mean, it makes me feel good for the day. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if you do any ice baths or anything like that. Are you ice bath guy?
I used to, again, religiously every day. I think 2 years ago, every day, 6 o'clock. They're all on my Instagram feed. I filmed every day for God knows how many days. Right. And you can notice the difference. Like even my like it produces brown fat.
Yep.
So like even the like second month in or whatever, you can see my abs really coming through, and like the fleshiness was gone. I don't do them anymore.
Why?
I fell out of the routine.
Right, okay.
I had a really great year where I went from being really chubby to literally at like a 4-pack. Can't claim a 6-pack.
Can't claim a 6-pack?
No, not yet.
We've got AI now, mate. Claim it.
Actually, scrap that. Yeah, I had an 8-pack, but I had that best year ever, and it was like in between that was the worst year ever.
Right.
And that completely threw me off. So I'm only now bouncing back from what was the worst year ever. So all that routine I had got me to a certain level, gave me the experience and the knowledge to understand all the methods. The worst year ever, I went all the way down to, I thought I was done for. Like I was standing on the edge of train tracks. I thought this is it. From there, I had the past experience, luckily, of how good you can feel, and then trying to work out what methods to use and when and how to start building back. So I'm only just sort of 3/4 of the way back to where I used to be. So I know there's that gap left, but I'm in a much better position than I was. So to answer your question, I just fell out the routine, and I'm building back to get back to it.
I got you. And how do you do a nice bath? Like, just get in it, right? I mean, in terms of minutes, you said every day religiously at one point, but like people have got different views. And I'll be honest with you, I think a lot of people sort of just make excuses and go, oh, well, I do this amount of time because it's fucking easy, right? Whereas like from the research and the people I've spoken to, and what seems like 3 minutes, super cold. You know, I've done it 3 minutes between sort of 3 and 4 degrees on a regular basis. I feel like that's good.
That's what I was doing. So I was literally breaking the ice. If you go back on my Instagram, you'll see the videos. Like, you know, like as I'm punching the ice, all like the steam and that, because it's so cold in the morning, it's all frosty. I'm breaking off the ice, getting in, and started off with 1 to 2 minutes. Forced myself to do that. But by the end of it, I was doing 3-5 minutes.
Right.
And that feeling I said from breath work was the same feeling I had in the ice bath. And I literally just sit there and visualize shaking like hell. But afterwards, have the best.
Do you
day
shake
ever.
when you're in there?
Yeah,
Because
like,
I start shivering back.
yeah.
I tell you why, because you say that it's interesting. When I started doing them, I've done them a lot of time. I went for a period of time doing like 3 years of a cold shower every morning, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. But regardless of that, when I started doing like the ice bath, I think it's MYO is a company that do like a proper one, right? So a friend of mine's got one of them. And when I jumped in that, like I was doing it, I was getting in minute. Felt good. I got out and I was like buzzing, right? Yeah. She got in it and done like 3 minutes and didn't move. So now I've got to do it.
You got to go back. Yeah.
Right, so I'll be doing it. But what I noticed as well, because and people have had different sort of opinions on female body, male body, all that kind of stuff. I don't know if there's any sense to that. I haven't dug deep enough. Maybe someone can comment below, or maybe you'd know. But when I get out of it, when I get to that sort of minute and a half, I'm shuddering like crazy. And I mean like properly shuddering. I feel good, I feel great, I get through it, and like after the 3 minutes I'm out and I feel like I can take on the world. But I was shivering like crazy and she wasn't. So it was a bit of a situation of what's going on here. But I guess ultimately it doesn't really matter, right?
That's another, like I tend not to look into things on that level so much, just because I'm like, for my own sake, I've got ADHD, I'm too scatty and disorganized. So I just like to look at like what I've found and like work out the best version of that and then sort of go to the next step. So I had that experience as well, but for me, jumping straight back to the breath work and somatic movements, literally just like pulsing out your hands and squatting down, that's the only thing that stopped me from shaking. But
I got you.
Yeah, I'm not sure why the men and women are so different in that regard. But yeah, some days I had to literally come out and like shaking like crazy, and some days I was like just.
Well, I find the more I do it, the more when I get out, it stops.
Yeah.
As it like before, like there was times I was going to teach Jiu Jitsu after, and like from getting out of the ice bath to the start of class, it might have been an hour. But I'm still like, I'm not still shuddering obviously, but I'm cold.
You feel it,
and I'm like, but like as time's gone on, now I get out and the shudder sort of goes quick and I'm sort of ready to rock and roll and it does feel great. But when I'm in there, man, I'm like, you know what I mean?
It's tough, but that's like one of the last things that I need to go back to and loop back to. It's like that last quarter of my journey is the ice baths and sort of getting back into that routine where it's just standard. I've managed to get back to 2 to 3 meditations a day. And like
a day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do, in the morning, I'll do a 12-minute hypno meditation where I use a process which I call thought energy design. It's basically certain audio technology that you'll hum to, and with both earphones in, as the sound goes around your head, as you hum, you'll notice when you match the vibration and frequency of the sound playing. So you hum and you match that. As soon as you match that, it's like you're just dragged out your body. It's like something comes and just goes.
Is this thing that clips onto like your earlobe and things?
No. So you just use normal earphones or headphones.
Do you know what I'm talking about? The thing that clips onto your ear?
Yeah, they're like the EEG type.
Something I can't remember. It's got. I've used it. A friend of mine had one of them, and I used it, and I'm a bit like, something annoys me, I'm annoyed, whatever. But I used this and I felt super calm. Right?
It's not the Muse, is it? Not the one that tracks your brainwaves, or is it something
Could
else?
be. I don't know what it was. It was like a clip-on thing, and it was like you hold it and you're very chilled and you sit there and relax. I'm butchering it. Someone's probably screaming at the screen. But anyway, I felt super calm after. Because the reason I say it, sometimes with the breath work, again, to circle back, sometimes I feel calm after. Sometimes I'm like struggling to get out of my own head and I'm like, after I'm like, you're thinking about things that happened 10 years ago that annoyed you, silly things. But now whether that's a part of it and it's part of the process, some people might say or whatever.
I think it is,
but this thing, I was super chilled. Like you could have done anything to me and I would have been like, it's all right, mate. It's all peace and love. You know what I mean?
Well, do you know what I've learned though? Like with me, I never claim to be perfect, and that's one thing people will realise when they watch my videos or they watch my stories. I'll tell everyone if I'm not feeling something or if I'm going through a bad time. So with me, I had a few months where I knew the methods that had worked for me. I had no idea why they wasn't working in that moment. I couldn't figure it out for months. What I realised was after the year I had, literally today, last year, I had a really bad crash. And then a week later, my dad died. But before that, my cousin was stabbed and killed, my uncle died. It was just a complete mad year. What was happening was I was in fight or flight mode because of the stress, the panic, everything was happening so random, so chaotic. I was just through the roof. So I was like, oh my God, what's going on? But because I was in fight or flight mode, because of the cortisol, I had so much energy just to push through it. And what I didn't realize was I knew how to thrive in fight or flight mode because that's what I've been used to since a kid. Loads of mad things happened and I was just used to being up here. So the methods were working for me then, and they were keeping me at that top level. Then after about 6 months after everything happened, I was trying the methods and I felt really flat. I was like, why am I not, after the methods I've just used that have made me feel better, even though I was still stressed, why are they not working at all for me now? And it was a panic, because I thought if I just conned myself into believing these methods worked. What I've now realised after another 4 or 5 months of pure hell again, I went from fight or flight to freeze mode. So I was just completely frozen. I had no emotion. I didn't care about anything. I had no energy. So of course, using all these fun methods weren't working because I had no energy in myself. So what I started to do was more self-love methods like somatic practices, the hypno meditations, and altering my process slightly to focus more on telling myself I'm safe rather than telling myself just keep going, you've got this, you're a winner. I was high sort of alert. Then telling myself safe brought me back up, and then now I'm back in the middle ground, which is where you should be ideally. So long story short, that's how I knew that process was not working for me and how to sort of bounce back up. So now I'm in that sweet spot, and then now, like I said, it's the last quarter to get back to a bit more higher stress, but a lot more sort of positive feeling.
It's interesting you say that because I think you got to get the balance right, ain't you? Because of my experience of training like crazy, I train 3 times a day hard, sleeping maybe 6 hours a night, constant, for extended periods of time, longer than you should be. But then when you do find time to relax, you need more. So it's I could sleep 12 hours a night, not train that day, and I'm still wrecked, versus go back a week and I'm training like a crazy man, not getting enough sleep, and I feel good. I mean, it's probably, I don't know if it's related entirely, but it's along them lines, right?
Yeah, it is. It's just finding that balance. And I think a good process I found that helped me bounce back was, again, related to mental fitness, was the rep process. So it's like a little acronym I used. So you rehearse what it could feel like to feel something in the future. So whatever it may be, winning a competition, being your best, having a car, whatever your dream is, just rehearse that, get a feel for what it could be like, and almost just adjust your radio signal and go, right, what could it feel like? Okay, it could feel like something like this, potentially. You start feeling that moment and go, okay, I could imagine what it could feel like to be there in the future. Then you embody that in the present moment, which is what I wasn't doing initially, and that's where the common mislink is, the disconnect. You embody that in the present moment and go, right, it could feel like this in the future. So what would happen if I felt like that now? You embody that in the present moment, really feel it, and not just mentally feel it, physically feel it. Stand like you would stand if you had that dream car, that dream job, you just won your fight, whatever it is. Feel that in the moment, and there's a few other bits that go with that. And then go, right, I've got that feeling, let's project that into the future on your timeline, which is part of the methods I use. On your timeline, visualize that in front of you. How would it feel to carry this forward for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, and go all the way as far as you can? Now you've got the roadmap, now you've got the goal, and now you've got your sights on it. You go, right, that's what it could feel like, this is what I feel like now. Let's try and continue on this line as much as I can. The more you're on that line, the faster things move for you, and you just, like an arrow, just go straight ahead.
And I'm assuming from what you said, this is sort of taking a whole picture of your life, not just a fight date, for example.
Yeah,
You're looking at everything that's going on in your life, whether it's relationships, I don't know, cars, houses, if that's your thing, like route to work, all that kind of stuff. You're sort of like, I don't want to say make believe, but sort of playing the game in your head a little bit.
Yeah, that's how I see it. I truly believe life is a game. It's another story, but I truly believe like it's all just, we're here to learn, we're here to adjust our own sort of sights and programming to win the prize, so to speak, and sort of get out. That's another story entirely.
Yeah. I was going to say, we'll talk about flat earth. We'll leave that.
But in answer to your question, yes, it's all about, just like you would with the gym, yeah? If you said, I want abs, okay, you do the ab work. But there's more to it than just doing the ab work. Is your eating right? Is your nutrition right? Is your drinking right? Is your movement right? Is it your recovery right? There's all these other bits that come into play.
Right.
And it's the same with mental fitness. Yes, you've got your goal. Are you doing the mindset cardio? Are you doing the mindset conditioning every day? Are you implementing the mindset drills when life hits you like it will, like a ton of bricks? Are you just going to go, oh, well, that's me done? Or are you going to go, you know what, I've got a bag of drills, I can just go, boom, let's implement this, change the programming, so to speak, and get back on that path.
Well, it's interesting you say that, and I think that relates to physical too. Like, obviously, we met at a workshop, which was Johnny Fisher, but lately I've been sort of going around lots of different, mostly grappling, to be honest, but lots of different seminars and things like that with really high-level people. And it's very simple a lot of the time. They make things very, very, I don't want to say easy, but easy to digest anyway. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. They're not rocket science. Like, I don't know if you've been in martial arts or anything, but years past, you'd go to seminars sometimes, and everyone would be like half hour in, everyone would be sort of looking at each other and going, what are you talking about? He's lost me because he's doing some spin this way, turn that way. And it's like, whoa. But anyway, a lot of the ones I've been to recently, I was with a UFC fighter recently who was doing a seminar, and it ended up Ryan Hall, shout out Ryan Hall, just brilliant. It was supposed to be a 2-hour seminar, ended up being 4.5 hours.
Wow.
And it was just very sort of, again, I don't want to say easy because I'm talking physically easy, right? In terms of, it was so simple and it was so blindingly obvious, some of the stuff he was teaching without giving away what he was doing, that it was like, why is everyone not doing that? And it's because I think there's a tendency to work too hard on things, right? We make it more complicated than it needs to be. Yeah. And the reason I sort of go around the houses to ask you the question is, like, you've got a fight coming up soon. How's that look like for you in terms of physical preparation? Yeah,
so obviously I'm at Crowns twice a week doing the sparring. And again, getting back back on track to do the strength and conditioning part. That's one thing I've neglected. And same with the mindset stuff I was going through. Like, I just was missing out on the key core elements, which was just diminishing all my sort of progress. So I'm doing the sparring, which is fine, but now I really need to get the explosiveness back, the strength and conditioning, squats, dumbbell hits and stuff like that. That's all part of the next sort of chapter. Especially going into the new year, it's going to be more dumbbell hits, the explosive work with Clyde, the sparring with Robbo and Kareem here at Crowns, just building back up. But that's it basically. Nothing too special in terms of that. For me, it's all in the mind really. So as long as my mind's cool, I'll be able to force my body to do the rest.
Are you training at amateur boxing club as well, get for rounds and stuff like that?
No, literally everything at Crowns. We've got some good sparring partners in here that can really, I'm 67 kg, everyone else is like 90. So I'm really sort of being tested in that sense of having to punch someone so heavy and being punched by someone so heavy and strong. So I'm learning that. We're going to get a few guys around my weight back in as well, just to give me some more realistic training.
Speed too, right?
Yeah, and that's one thing I've noticed. Like when I'm sparring the heavier guys, my head movement, I can just work around them, and you feel like you're at Neo in the Matrix. But when we've had smaller guys come in, I'm like, oh, ping, ping, ping. I'm getting hit all over the place because the speeds, I haven't got used to that yet. But that's the next chapter, really, bringing in more guys my size.
That's cool. And what is your bout? Is it 3-2s?
Yeah.
So for fast pace, you got to be up and going.
Yeah.
So like when you spar and stuff like that, do you keep it as simple as sparring just boxing? And the reason I ask, it sounds like a stupid question on the face of it. I know a lot of boxers now that are sort of dabbling with the MMA side of things. They're doing a lot of sort of like I don't want to say wrestling in the sport of wrestling, but wrestling to help their boxing and things like that. Have you entertained in that? Because you're quite an outside thinker, aren't you? Do you know what I mean?
I completely get the benefits of doing that.
And because also, by the way, not to cut in, but you've got Kyle who's a black belt in Jiu Jitsu who might be able to sort of, grip you up a bit.
I've done Jiu Jitsu before, only for like 4 to 6 months. It wasn't for me, in all honesty, just in terms of how I naturally move and feel. Like I had no flexibility.
Where did you train at?
Semtex, I can't think what it's called now. It's in near Welling.
Yeah, okay.
I can't think of the name of it now. But it's like a well-established gym, and mate, a lot of purple belts, a lot of blue belts, and when you're like, you know yourself, when you're sparring someone that's 2, 3, 4 levels above you, plus all the years of experience, you're in the deep end all the time, so you've got no choice but to sort of figure it out. But yeah, I do starting yoga with Lee here at Crowns as well, trying to get into more like yin yoga, Pilates. That's my focus more in terms of like extracurricular.
Because it seems that's what you need, right? You need the calm down side of things away from training.
Yeah. Just to and finding that connection with my body as well. I know it sounds a bit spiritual, but the yoga definitely helps sort of me understand how to get in touch with my body in different ways and move in different ways.
Do you ever play with sort of handstands and things like that for sort of getting into your body? Because I found that, like when I did that a long time ago to do, and I do it all the time now, but I found that was I didn't intend it for that kind of thing, but there is like, listen, at the end of the day, when you're practicing it every day, you're looking at the floor, right? You're standing there, 12 inches from the floor or whatever you are, 18 inches from the floor, staring at a thing. That can get boring quick. So what I found for it is like, not intentionally, but your mind does not play tricks on you, but goes to a funny place, and you're kind of like, you're here, but you're not there, and you all that kind of stuff. And I do think, as silly as this, people might go, oh yeah, whatever. I do think it helped my combat. Do you know what I mean?
I think so.
In a way.
I can imagine that. I can imagine that completely, because it's all about, again, for me, I'm biased, but for me, it's all about the mind.
Yeah.
Like you can only sort of perform as much as your self-belief allows you to. You can't really outperform your self-belief. If you don't believe you can do X amount of push-ups, what's the chance that you're going to go?
Well, it's interesting you say that as well, because I can't remember who it was, a famous fighter, someone might be able to help me out, but there's a lot of people say, oh, it's 90% mental and 10% whatever. He said it's not 90%, it's not 10%, it's 100% mental and 100% physical.
That makes sense.
It makes sense, doesn't it? Because it is in reality, do you know what I mean? There is elements of both, because again, I can't remember who it was. I'm fucking dropping names. I don't know who said it, but someone was saying about like you can have all the belief in the world that you could beat John Jones. You can't beat him. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter how much you believe it. It just doesn't matter. So the balance is there, because we've all met these people, and again, we won't mention names. But we have met people that just. It's not self-belief, it's delusion at a certain point, right? They're sort of deluded into it. They get hiding every day in the gym, but they still think they're the best. Which there is something to be took from that, but at the same time, you can just end up the deluded person that's sort of not seeing reality, so it doesn't pay off for you, innit?
I think it all depends on how much you're actually involved as well. Like I said about myself, it was very condescending for me to talk about my love for boxing and the power of the mind if I've never put it into practice in the ring itself and been able to say, I understand what it's like to go in those deep waters. Even though it's not a 12-round championship fight, just having that bit of experience of 3-2s is at least it's something for me to go, look, this is where I know how to put into practice certain methods, and also where I know I'm at as a person, a fighter, an athlete, whatever terms you want to sort of use to measure it, just getting a feel for where you're at, then I can sort of speak with a bit more clarity and clout.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, from my experience too, it's not about how many rounds or the level or anything like that. It's more, you do that in the gym, right? You can spar with people in the gym that are high level. It's the occasion that's the issue you're going to run into, and you'll experience this. You know what I mean? Like, you'll question a few things sitting in that changing room. You'll be like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing this for? And again, I won't butcher a story I've told a million times when we spoke about this kind of thing. I've been in changing room with people that are just melting, and I just want to be away from them. Like, like as if it's contagious.
It
Like
is,
I don't want to
it
be
is,
near.
It
you
is
know?
contagious.
You know what I mean?
100%
Yeah.
it is. Like you can't, whether it's you're before a fight or just in life, especially in life, you can't be around people that are the rotten apples.
Right.
Because what's going to happen? They're going to spread over to you. Then before you know it, you're going to start thinking how they're thinking, and you're going to start questioning yourself. Like I've had it before. I go, I want to go and do this, and yeah, but have you got this for that? Have you got the certificates for this? Have you thought about this? Like they try and kill your dream before you even started. Right. So don't be around.
Ignorance can be bliss too, can't it? Do you know what I mean? Like at a certain point, some people are too, and I'm sure you've experienced this in sparring, some people are too dumb to realise how bad they are. So because of that, they actually can have a little bit of success in there, do you know what I mean? Whereas I've seen this many times, and anyone who's been in any kind of level of boxing would have, I'm sure, have experienced this. You get in there with people that start boxing, and they're wild, and they're crazy, and they're strong, and they look quite good, but then as the months go on, they're actually pretty useless. Yeah. But then as the months go on more, then they start to sort of make a more linear progress. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Because they fall off because they start to understand enough to get themselves in trouble versus before they're just reckless and rushing at you.
Well, it's an literally exact metaphor for what I went through just in life. Like I was so high up here, everything was chaotic. So like you'd knock down 10 walls, but then you'd find the right one for you. Like, do you know what I mean? You're just like knocking over so much crap that eventually like a bit of it will stick here and there. And when you're just smashing it down, it's only until you sort of step back, and then that's when the self-doubt kicks in. Because you go, hold on a minute, everything's slowing down. Am I as motivated as I thought I was when everything was high stress? Am I as successful as I think I was when I was just knocking everything down and some things were sticking and it was just like pure luck? Same with the fighting. When you sort of go down, that's when you're like, am I as good as I thought? Then you go back all the way down, and then as soon as you hit rock bottom in that sense, then you go, okay, how do I build back up to get back to that level in some way, but now in a more cleaner, efficient way? And you sort of go around the houses to come back.
Is this sort of a battle of like a conscious mind versus sort of a reactive mind? Where when you're in the early stages, you're just reacting to what's coming. But as I sort of touched on a little bit with the boxing, when you start to understand the dangers and the risks, you think a bit more, and like you're behind then. Do you know what I mean? And it takes longer to sort of come back, right? Yeah. Because when you start, you know, if you think you can't do something, you can't really, can you? Do you know what I mean? It's difficult. Whereas, as I said, the beginner who's sort of young, dumb and full of whatever is rushing in and whatever. I know I'm sort of making it overly sort of specific to boxing, but I think it's relevant, isn't it?
It is very, like I said, it's just to do with life as well. You can't outperform your self-belief. Like whatever you believe you can or can't do, that is what you're going
both usually right, is the saying, I think, they're both usually right, yeah. So, but like, okay, here's an example. If I come to you, I'm going to ask you to imagine now, I'm a young, handsome man who comes to you.
God,
Hey, I don't know which bit is bothered more, the young or the handsome bit. I don't know. But it's, so I come to you and I'm, you know, a young, ambitious fighter and whatever, and I'm saying all the right things and whatever, but then I go to you, but Ted, when I'm in that changing room, I'm just, and it all starts to fall south. Like, I know I'm giving you quite a sort of stereotypical, overblown, example, but what was step one if I come to you and I'm like, okay, I need help?
I say, have you done your reps? And you'll say, oh, what does reps mean? And I'll go right back to it. Have you rehearsed what it could feel like to win? Oh, yeah, no, I sort of thought about it, but the thing is this. And I'll say, oh, just put your conscious mind to the side a minute. Your conscious mind, like you just said, isn't going to help you in any way in that moment. What you need to tap into is your subconscious mind and your subconscious body as well. You know you can do it. You've done it before. You've done the sparring. You've done the training. You've done the visualization. Your subconscious knows it. It's only your conscious mind that's putting that stupid filter on it to go, oh yeah, but what if this? What if you're the first person in white collar to die tonight? Like your brain's going to think of these mad things. And as exaggerated as it sounds, that is what will run through your head if you let your conscious mind and that detailed filter start trying to work things out. You don't need it. Put it aside, work on using your subconscious mind, rehearse it, embody it now. You know you can do it. So tap into that person that is about to do it now, project it into the future and go, right, how would it feel if I go out there and it's the best case scenario? Because that is a possibility, just as you could go out there and get chinned, literally the first punch, or slip over, fall out the ring without getting hit. Even worse, the worst case scenario is available, but the best case is. So why would you bother thinking of that? Just tilt your filter, focus on best case scenario, project it, feel it in the moment, and just go out there, and people will feel the energy off you. I know on my fight night, if I do the work that I'm claiming to know and claiming to work now, if I go out there, you'll know on my face and in my body, as soon as I walk out behind that curtain, you go, this guy's got it. Like, he's got it in the head, mentally, physically, and then whatever happens in the ring happens. But as long as I go in there 100% in myself, that's all I can ask for, and that's all I'd ask of someone that wanted my help as well. Obviously, there's other the drills you can put into place. If you're really feeling fear, there's a method called 1 point where I could literally push up against you on your side, and you force yourself back onto me, and think of the moment that you feel fearful of, say getting in the ring. And we literally just work, as you're pushing onto me to distract your conscious and subconscious mind, start thinking, okay, what would it feel like if that fear measurement went down? How would it feel then? Say if it was 10 out of 10, you was petrified, you were shaking, you were almost in tears. What could you get to a 9? Yes, you could. What would that feel like? What could that feel like if you can't feel it now? And then go through that rep process again and just work your way down 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, until, if you can, get to 2, 3. That's more than enough. You need a bit of fear to be on edge and be sort of working and alive. So just get it down to 3 and go on in. But there's loads of drills that you can use for that. But that's what I'd be asking. Have you done the reps? If so, shut up and get in. Don't put your conscious mind away.
Right, because it's interesting. I did something years ago when I was having like physical injuries in my body, and I got put onto someone. His name was Robert Kavanagh at the time. I don't know if he's still around, so if you ever find this, Rob, reach out, mate. But he used to do all kinds of stuff, and I don't want to butcher what he did and make it sound voodoo because it was brilliant. But he was doing certain things where he'd like make me think about a time I'd been in the ring. And you know, I've gone to him with a shoulder injury, by the way. And he's going to me like, think about a time in the ring when, he doesn't speak like that, he's Irish. But he was going to me like, think about a time when you was in the ring and you've been hurt the most you can ever think of right now. Yeah. Okay, cool. And he was going for all kind, and again, without butchering it, I won't get in deep because I will get it wrong. But he was doing certain things, and like he would make me hold my injured shoulder arm up and sort of push it down, and I wouldn't give it much resistance because it was painful. Whatever. But what with me doing this and my eyes closed, before I know it, he's like basically hanging off my arm, and pulling it and yanking it, and he's like strong again. So whatever the connection was there, but like, I'm a believer is what I'm trying to say. Do you know what I mean? There's all this kind of stuff out there that people I think write off as sort of voodoo and like woo-woo type stuff, don't they? But I guess it goes two ways, because I guess if you believe it, it's easier to believe it in a way, isn't it? But
it's placebo, that's all.
Right, but if it works, it's right anyway, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? Because I had a lot of success from it. I'd been injured sort of for a long time, and that was the first person that sort of got me back, because I'd been going to, and we've all done it. You go to a physio, he gives you like a little band, and he's like, rotate it out, and you're going, yeah, that's great, but I want to stand on my hands again and punch people. Do you know what I mean? And like, you're getting me to do this. Is there any pain? No. So like there was definitely some sort of aspect of whatever. And then I started training again, and it was all good from there. But like with people like you, sorry, not people like you, people that come to see you. When you're sort of going through a process, do you sort of, I don't want to make it overly, I don't want to talk for you is what I'm trying to say, but is it sort of like a background check of sorts? So like, do you have to sort of know where my mindset is and where it comes from?
Yeah, it's called an ecology check. So you have to sort of get a feel for where they're at the moment, whether they're, like you said, if you wasn't open-minded to it, and you're just saying to the guy, look mate, just help me fix my shoulder. I don't want to know about the spiritual consciousness and the warfare. Like, I don't want to know about all that just yet. I just want my shoulder fit. So you have to get a feel for where they're at the moment. And like I said, just work out how you can get them onto that line. For some, it may be easier than others. And some you have to sort of use more, not hypnotherapy techniques, like more just sort of emotional intelligence to work out how to alter your language to speak to you. So you may be like super detailed and I'm big pictured. So you're like, well, what about this? What about that? What about step 1? What about step 100? And I'm like, well, what are you worried about step 100 for? Let's focus on step 1. So if I can go down to your level and build you up step by step, that way you're going to believe me more, you're going to be on the path more. So just understanding who they are, a lot of emotional intelligence comes into it, and just sort of building rapport first, getting them onto that line, and then working with them from there. But once they're on that line and they've experienced something, they're sort of ready to go then. It's like you're at the market, you're at the starting line, just go, because you felt enough to sort of trust in what I'm saying then.
And do you watch a lot of fights? And do you watch it from, I mean, I'm assuming you watch a lot of fights anyway, right?
Yeah, like the boxing fights, I don't watch much.
You don't watch much? Oh, mate, we were doing well, weren't we, till then? But like when you watch a fight, because when I've worked with people that sort of do bodywork stuff, and they, like a lot of good people I've worked with that sort of do mechanics, like in terms of you'll go, I've got, I don't know, whatever, shoulder injury, and they'll say, walk up and down in a line. And they'll go, stop, come here. And they'll go like, your big toes off. And do you know what I mean? They go through all this. And like questions I've had for them people is like, when you watch a fight, does it drive you mental? Because you're going like, well, his hip's not working. And they sort of like, the consensus of these people seems to be like, they just shut it off and sort of watch it. When you watch a fight, do you watch someone walk into the ring and go like, he's not happy?
Yeah. I think it's Dillian White against Atoma. Right. Obviously, with Atoma's skill, like you could have put money on that. It was going to go. But just the way Dillian looked.
There was something up that night, wasn't it? Not to cut you off, but he didn't do his bark that he normally does beforehand. Exactly. Something was off there.
And this is one thing I've noticed, when you out of character, that can never be good. You always want to be in character. Whatever your character is, that's the thing that's got you this far.
Even if it's fake. Right.
Even if it's fake, you just want to tap into that. Who did I ask before? Michael Bisping, I asked before whether he played a character at all. And he said, no, this is just who I am. I was like, you know what, fair play. If that's actually just who you are, if you tap into that ego, so to speak, and who you are, that's where all the good stuff is. That's
but also, could it be that he doesn't realise he's playing a character? He just switches it on in that moment because that's who he is then. I'm assuming he don't walk through the kitchen. I mean, his missus might say different. But I'm assuming he doesn't walk through the kitchen indoors like ready to rock and roll. Do you know what I mean? Like, so in a way, it is a character, isn't it? Yeah,
that's it. So it's your character in the sense it's your ego. It's not like a pantomime character. Like your character is just your ego, like the things, your personality makes your personal reality. So everything that sort of makes you is your character. Okay. So if I come in here and you knew me to be like the loud guy that's always making jokes and I'm sitting there like this and go, oh, he's out of character. Yeah. It's not that I'm normally a pantomime of myself. Right. I'm just sort of my ego, my way of talking, my personality is that sort of package that you see. So whenever I see a fighter in that, I'm like, they're good to go. Whenever they're out of that, what's gone wrong there? Why are they overthinking it? Is it their conscious mind's got too involved and they're like, oh, I can't do this, can't say this because of that. That's when that you're off that line, so to speak. Yeah,
it's interesting because you do see people that do sort of like fake it in terms of what they used to be. Now, the two examples that come to my mind, I know you're not a big MMA fan, but Ronda Rousey and Conor McGregor, I think I've seen them like in their peak, and especially Ronda Rousey will never get a credit for how good she was, but that's a side note. But like in her day, and Conor McGregor the same, the way they used to walk to the ring, there's fights later on where they sort of almost look to me like they're faking trying to be what they used to be. Whereas like before they sort of felt like they embodied it and that was who they was and they was playing it right. Whereas later on it was like they're not really that anymore.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because part of that rep process is faking it until you can literally make it. But the important point is you have to make it in the present moment. You can't sort of fake it and go, oh yeah, you can't get stuck at the R at the rehearsing point. You have to do the embodying. If you don't embody it, that's when you'll notice the difference. You go, it looks like he's trying to walk like how we walked before. That's when you're, out of character. So you have to rehearse it, but the important point is you have to feel it, and most importantly, this is where the hypnotherapy comes in. Your subconscious has to truly not believe, it has to know that you are what you're envisioning. Because if your subconscious doesn't believe you, and your conscious mind is also questioning you, that's when you're completely all over the place because you're like, I don't even feel it in myself. I'm pretending. Plus, I'm also petrified of the million questions my conscious mind is throwing at me. That's when you're just in an internal battle. But if you embody it, subconscious believe it, and you can just par the conscious mind off, that's when you're flow state, that's when you're ready to go.
So is that like even if it's not real, it's real to you situation? So for example, you're wearing a blue shirt, right? It is blue, isn't it? I'm not going mad. Right? But he's wearing a blue shirt, right? So if I sit there and you convince me through whatever you do, maybe not the best example, but it'll make sense. You tell me it's red, and I believe it's red. It doesn't matter if it's red or not, I believe it. Is it that kind of lane?
Yeah, but basically, like because ultimately, again, I won't get too much into it, but like for me, I'm the only person I know truly exists in this whole world. So it only matters what I think and feel. Right. You could say whatever you say, Ted, you're going to get sparked out on the first round of your fight. I hope I don't, but if I truly believe I won't,
you're not.
Exactly. Right. Whatever you say, what everyone else says, it's just whatever. Other people's opinions will only reach your conscious mind. It won't go beyond that if you've set up the barrier and done the work to sort of go, I don't care what people say, I know what I am, so everyone else's faults can just stay on the outside.
That's interesting, yeah.
Let the conscious mind deal with them, and then you yourself par your own conscious mind off when the time comes.
Makes perfect sense. Do you think that happens to fighters sometimes later in their career? You know, like, without giving an example necessarily, but let's say Chuck Liddell, he was a UFC fighter, had an iron chin in his day, and then later on in his career he kept getting knocked out. Now there's obviously a physical element to that, but is there sort of, do you think that there's sort of a mindset to that, whereas before he knew he couldn't get knocked out, and then once it's happened, he's sort of more receptive to it, if that's the right word.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He kind of, maybe I can get knocked out now.
Yeah, I think so. I think if you, again, that metaphor, if you've got your barrier up and your subconscious is super strong and fortified, you can trick yourself in actually saying, and what I would suggest anyone like that would do is trick yourself into saying, oh, I did get knocked out, but that was just a one-off.
Right.
I was actually just out of character then. Almost write it off the record for your subconscious mind, and then just go, I am the person that cannot be knocked out. Almost like what Chris Eubank Jr. does.
Right.
He's sort of, no matter what actually happens and whether he wins or loses or he gets the upper hand or not, he actually spins it in such a way that it looks like he truly believes that he is right no matter what. And therefore he walks along like that, and then everyone else starts going, hold on a minute, you know you lost that. Or you know you lost that argument with Eddie Hearn yesterday, which I don't know if you saw that, but he lost the sort of battle there. But Chris will spin it in such a way that you go, no, I won.
Yeah,
you go,
won,
well, did he win? Mm-hmm. Like you actually start questioning yourself. Once your subconscious is that strong and fortified, you can actually influence the world around you and the people around you as well. So as long as that's strong, everything else is irrelevant, really.
Well, the guy you mentioned earlier, Michael Bisping, I know his career quite well. I watched probably all of, if not most of his UFC fights and whatnot. But he got knocked out viciously once. I don't know if you've seen it. You know the one I'm talking about, Dan Henderson, UFC 100. I mean, it's for anyone who hasn't seen it, I don't know where you've been for the last however many years, but like, as vicious a knockout as could possibly go. He come back in his next fight and stopped the guy, and it was quick. I believe, I might be a bit wrong, but I think it was only like 4 months later. It was quite a quick turnaround. And he sort of, again, I can't speak for him, but he said it on certain interviews and stuff, the way he dealt with that and whatever. But it's almost like it did sound, my interpretation of what he was saying was a little bit like that. He kind of just like, it don't really matter, it didn't count. I brushed it off and sort of got through it, you know. Because a lot of people that have finished, we've all seen fighters that got knocked out once and that's it. They sort of fall apart. But not to harp on too much about, you know, what's the saying? Beat a dead dog or whatever. Yeah. We'll figure it out. Genius podcast here today. But like when you sort of work, do you work with fighters? Is that sort of your primary focus?
So my primary focus is my mindset workouts.
Right.
I don't know if you saw it, but doing a mindset workout, which is a group hypno breathwork meditation. I'm doing one for Anthony Joshua and his team this Sunday in Watford. So that's like my first sort of.
And
test.
There's a space open for that with me?
Yeah,
or
space.
what?
It's all free. Come on down. It's in Watford, and that will be interesting to see a more younger demographic for that. Because at the moment it's been like more older people. So that's my primary focus. But I've only just sort of started working one-to-one. I've got a footballer. I'll try not to say it to make it too obvious, but there's a footballer in South Africa, plays for their biggest team. I'm working with him at the moment to get him back on track as well. So it's a lot of work only currently with like one-to-ones here and there.
Is that ultimately where you want to go? You want to work with top athletes that sort of get them ready for comps?
Yeah. But I'm using the mindset workouts as like the blanket sort of Trojan horse to just sort of steamroll through the UK, get everyone trying it, get a feel for the methods, and then, as you know, like out of every 5 events, I'll have one athlete go, oh, how do I do that?
Mate, this is what I'm trying to do with a podcast. Just throw them all out there, and enough people don't think I'm annoying enough to stop subscribing. We'll figure it out eventually, you know?
Just keep going, and it was, like I said before, things will just start sticking. 1 out of 100 people will stick with you, and that's enough.
That's enough, yeah. And like when you're working with big names like Anthony Joshua, name drop guys, he dropped that one, not me.
I had to drop
I'm
that
normally
one.
a name drop king. He dropped it this time. So it's good at it. It's nice to go. And listen, ultimately, without trying to be funny or anything, if it works, people will use it, won't they? Do you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of woo-woo stuff out there. There's, I won't say who it was because you don't kick a man when he's down. He's had enough sort of like terrorising over the last few years. There was a guy who worked with a very high noted fighter in the UFC who'd done some kind of spiritual-ish type stuff. And the guy kept getting knocked out, and his views, he was very prickly, he was very like rude to it. And basically he's just been like made to look a complete buffoon.
It's what happened with Wilder, by the way. Wilder went on a big spiritual journey, lost his spark, lost his anger, and subsequently lost almost.
Well, here's a good point with Wilder as well. Everyone people say like he weren't that good, which to me is the most ridiculous thing. There was one point in time he was 40-0 with 39 knockouts. The only one he'd knocked out in the return in 1 round, right? So he might not be boxing the way a lot of other boxers are, but he was like in his prime. he'd be a hard night's work for anyone in the history of boxing, to me. Do you know what I mean? And I said it, and I'll say it now, even though it might sound ridiculous because of how things have turned out. A prime Wilder, I think, would have been a big, massive problem for Usyk.
Yeah.
Because, listen...
all it takes is one, that's it.
And he's going to land it, isn't he? Let's be real. Like, he come up against Fury, born at the wrong time. You know what I mean? As simple as that.
Do you know what? Wilder is probably the best example of what can happen if you let your mind get mentally unfit. Yeah. That is like the best example of it, because as soon as he done that spiritual stuff, which I endorse, but for his line of work being a boxer and his whole character, like we said, was a savage, and he's talking about getting bodies on the record and he's such a savage, going away and looking into your soul and probably being squished to death by God or the universe, and then trying to come back and say, I'm the savage, I'm the killer, you're out of character, you're off that line.
You're not that anymore,
That's probably the best example of a way to sort of summarise everything. Like, if you're out of character like he was, that's it. You're so out of touch with everything that made you so good. Your subconscious is a mess. Your conscious mind is probably like,
Well, the one I always look at with him, what made me think he was as great as I think he was, and people can have their own opinions, but whatever, is when he fought Luis Ortiz the second time, when he was getting boxed up. But he was so calm. You've seen the fight, right? Where it's blindingly obvious he's got no interest in any of that. He's just waiting for his moment, and of course he lands it, and that's it there, and it's over. You know what I mean? I think when you've got that belief, it is belief's the word, isn't it? Like, obviously, listen, it's not just belief. He's got to have that special power in his right hand to make this belief come off. But when he's believing it that much, he's not trying to get involved with boxing him, is he? Which I think was a mistake later in his career, as well as the sort of mindset thing. In that sense, it's also he was trying to box too much. Like, you're never going to catch these guys boxing. You're too far behind.
And you can imagine that even if he didn't know or didn't claim to use visualization, most boxers do. Like, I spoke to George Groves, like anyone I spoke to, Johnny Fisher, they all say, oh, no, I don't really visualize. And then when you actually sort of say, well, do you do this, do you do that? They go, yeah, no, of course I imagine what it'd be like to walk out.
They just don't realise they're doing it, right?
They don't realise the term, So you can imagine Wilder's probably been visualising, that's all he's got. So he's just, subconsciously or not, visualising that, boom. As soon as he gets into a boxing fight and he's going, oh, I can't picture how to do this, I can't get my vision back, again, out of character, and that's when everything starts falling apart. But if you're just waiting on that, that's your strength, tap into it.
Forever. I believe in that massive. If you've got one power like that. Like Rocky Marciano, I know it's a bit different, but back in the day, have you seen much of Rocky Marciano? Have you ever watched him train?
No.
There's videos of him training on a heavy bag. Now, anyone watch it, it's almost like a joke. Like, he's hitting this bag, and it's look like if you saw someone doing it at an amateur club, the coach would probably go to him and go, listen, mate, this boxing ain't for you. Do you know what I mean? They'd probably go, there's a football club up the road. Do you know what I mean? Like, do yourself a favour. But, like, you watch it, and you're looking at it, and you're going, what? And then, but you keep watching it, and it's sort of like, for me, the penny drops. It's like, listen, this is just hard work. This is just, he knows he's going to get in there and rough you up and do what he does. He's not trying to jab and ping and move around. He's literally, you can look this up on YouTube. There's a video of him. He skips like all silly with his arms up in the air. He's like throwing rocks. He's jogging at a pace which a 4-year-old could beat him. He's got his head on the bag. He's like almost half headbutting the bag and throwing like winging shots to the body. Undefeated heavyweight champion of the world. Do you know what I mean? You can't tell me that's not a belief thing. There's got to be something to that.
Yeah, that's it. Just tap into it. Like, even sparring, like, sometimes I get told, like, oh, I'm really good at moving, rolling, and if I get told not to do that, I'm like, why would you take the one thing away from me that I believe in? And if I can, again, do the work to put myself in that position, so then when I roll, I know I'm in my strength in that little pocket of time. Why would you want to take that away from me? You should be saying, keep rolling, keep spamming that roll, like literally just roll, and just tap into that strength, because then when you're there, you're going to have the belief, because that's what you've already got to get there. You're going to have the belief to get to the second step. And rather than taking the first step away and going, oh no, it's like saying you can box, but you can't throw any punches. You're going to go, well,
you're taking a bit of a weapon away.
Yeah, you're taking the first step away. Like, that's how
I can totally relate to that with, like, not that style, but pressure heavy, very pressure. And like, sometimes I was told too much to jab and move, and like, you listen, but it's like, for me, do you know what I mean? It's not my strong suit.
Imagine telling Mike Tyson that, mate, you're doing too much rolling in front, like, but box on the back foot, Mike. He'd be like, come on, mate.
Come on, bro, Why? I've got short arms. Exactly. But like, when you watch fights now, I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you have the freedom to just sort of switch off from what you do, or is your whole sort of game of like, sort of, not confirmation bias because it sounds negative, but you know where I'm coming from, you're watching it and going, that happened because of this, so I'm right on X, Y, Z? No,
to be fair, I'm quite good at being able to switch off. I think where I sort of live this naturally, it's something where I literally live the methods I teach. So if I switch off, it's like more of a personal thing. I'm just like, look, let me just
Yep.
chill and switch that mind off, because I'm doing this day in, day out. So I like to switch off and just sort of be human for a bit,
Right.
and then get back to like Mr. Mental Fitness Trainer, like save the world and stuff like that after.
Oh, save the world. Oh, wow. That's episode 2. Tune in for the Patreon version. Yeah. But, mate, I've got to get some work with you at some point. We'll definitely do some stuff. Anthony
100%.
Joshua Workshop, I'll be there. If that's a legit offer,
Yeah,
I'll
it
make
is,
sure I'm
and
there.
it's a legit event as well.
Oh, right,
I just made that up.
Yeah, cool. Well, when this comes out, it'll be over, so it's not like
someone will fact check it.
Yeah,
Like, hold on a
exactly.
minute.
It never happened. Yeah, God forbid it gets cancelled and this looks like a scam. But going forward now, there's a big fight of the weekend. This will come out after, so we'll see how smart we are or ain't. Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn, got much of an opinion?
You know what? So in terms of who I want to win, I don't have any dog in the fight. I'm not too fast. It was a brilliant fight last time. Chris definitely has the mental edge. You can tell that, like with what I said, he will spin anything to go in his favour. When you've got a mindset like that, it's very hard to lose. I know it myself, when my ego kicks in, which it does, it's natural. When it really kicks in and you start sort of going, well, no one could beat me sort of thing. Mm-hmm. We've all sort of had moments of that. He seems to embody that his whole life.
Yep.
When you've got that mindset, it's hard to be beaten. But then Conor's so fired up. It's like what we said. If he taps into it and just steamrolls him, I don't know, but it's a tricky one.
So
I'm
who's you
sitting on the
pick?
fence.
Because I've got cream in that bag for your ass for sitting on that fence. Who's going to win?
I'm literally squirming as
I'm
well.
going to say he's got splinters, he has.
So I reckon Chris has just got that sort of understanding that he knows how to weather the storm and keep things quite calm, even though they were so hectic. Mm-hmm. I feel like Chris can sort of manage it mentally. But then that being said, if Conor comes through and just sort of taps into what he knows he should and can do, but I'm going to go with Chris.
Chris, well, this will come out in about 3 weeks after the fight, so we'll see. I'm going to go Chris too, so I'm not shirting the question.
Actually, I just do both?
Yeah, I was going to say, do both, we'll cut it up for you. So, mouth says Chris and the noise says, Conor. But my view on this fight is, I think Chris will win. I do think Chris will win. But this is one of them ones I really wouldn't be surprised any way it went,
That's what I'm saying,
any outcome, because I could see the weight doing Chris. Do you know what I mean? The rehydration, I don't know what the situation is. I've heard both ways. It's on and it's not on and whatever. Doesn't really matter. It does to him, but for the prediction sake of things, I wouldn't be surprised if Conor got rid of him because he couldn't take a shot anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if Chris totally dominated and stopped him. I wouldn't be surprised if it went to points. It was close.
Do you know what I mean?
None of it would surprise me, to be fair. Do you know what I mean? But Chris Eubank's my pick and we're in agreement on this. Yeah. But before we finish, mate, most important question of the day, colour of your shirt. Things are looking good, guys. Which football team do you support?
Millwall.
You got the right colour. Wrong answer. Right answer, Chelsea. Oh, hands up. I don't know nothing.
I knew you was going to think
I
it was
don't know
something.
nothing. Yeah, Millwall.
I'm from Bermondsey.
Yeah, I know, but hey, listen, there's a Chelsea cafe in Bermondsey. Is it still there? Is that still there? Is it gone?
I
think it's gone, but there was a Chelsea cafe in Bermondsey. It was all fenced off and you had to look after it. It was a Chelsea cafe. But mate, listen, this has been brilliant.
Mate,
I really appreciate your time. I'll get some work in with you. Hopefully we'll sit down again at some point after your fight. And we'll get another podcast on and see how we go. But I always finish with a fist up like this, mate. Squeeze the neck. Boom!